Hello and welcome to this crazy world we live in. I happen to be in the Philippines, as many of you know. Going to talk a little bit about changing plans. Where do we go from here? Where do you go from here? Many of our plans have been disrupted. In the past, we've all lived in times where, maybe there's a snowstorm, an ice storm, a hurricane, tornadoes, power outages, different parts of the world where we live, internet outages for short periods of time. Short periods of time. But never once in our lives, as far as I know, have we all experienced a complete economic shutdown across the world like we're seeing presently. Many of you, as well as myself, were fairly optimistic that this thing would get turned around rather quickly and we could start planning a couple months out. More and more, as I see news articles and things, the Secretary of Treasury of the U.S. today made a statement that you might not see international travel to most degrees until 2021. A spokesman for the airline industry, one of the airlines anyways, made a statement that they aren't seeing much demand at the present time. So if there's not demand, they're not going to have many flights. I think the present situation and experience we're all going through is going to cause many of us to think long and hard about our future plans. And now that we understand some of the things that can happen, and anyway, I've kind of put my plans on hold until this, if it's August or December or sometime next year. I'm just going to go with it, wait it out, whatever I have to do. Now, if you're in a foreign country and that country says, you've got to leave, we're we don't have the resources for the foreigners to be in our country presently, like some countries did. They told a lot of tourists here and other places, you need to leave the country if you're a tourist, if you're a short-term tourist. So it's things to think about as you plan going forward. We're starting to see which countries are better prepared to handle emergencies. I've listened to some interviews with some of the top medical people here in the Philippines, and the good news is that they understand, they've learned from this, their limited capabilities once you get out of the larger cities, and there are plans to greatly increase their capabilities. Now, logistic wise, money wise, how quickly that will happen, bringing in more better trained people, more equipment to handle more serious issues at their hospitals. Who knows how quickly that'll happen, even though that the need has now been recognized. So I have some questions for all of you. Now that you're going through these experiences, many of you have just canceled your trip. You've tried to reschedule them a number of times, and you've just finally given up till next year sometime. I think that tourists in general are going to be, around the world, are going to be reluctant to travel initially for some time. So I think it's going to be difficult to get the economy back going, even as the economy picks up. Many people don't have jobs. They don't have money to spend anymore, even with stimulus that many countries are giving out. They're going to be much tighter with their spending. They're going to hold on to their cash longer, I think. There are presently a few buses running a couple different routes in Cebu City, Cebu, the Philippines. My friend, since I'm over 65 and not allowed to leave my house, house arrest, if you will, essentially, and no taxis, no hobble, no motorbike taxis, no grab cars, no transport. Basically, everybody has to walk. There are a few buses around, and this happens to be a kind of a makeshift terminal with different buses. These are free buses presently because of the situation. For frontline people, and my friend has some sort of pass to take care of some type of issue. I'm not sure of the details, but she was able to, just by chance, she was going to walk about 12 kilometers one way, and to take care of some business with the company that she works for, involved with security. And she just by chance came across this bus and ended up getting quite a long ride. Anyway, we're going to ride along. She ends up with a front seat, and so we'll look at some of the sites going along from Cebu City over towards Mandawi City, into Mandawi City, and I think even up across the bridge over to Mactan Island. Anyway, people are having to walk to get groceries, and there's not much in the way of delivery services. Now, I understand Manila has a company with over 200 shoppers that will shop for you, and then a delivery service that will deliver your groceries, those sorts of things. Anyway, I am curious about your thoughts about the future. 7 months before I came to the Philippines, I had planned on going to Thailand. That was my destination. And after doing some research, and I started leaning towards Philippines and decided on the Philippines. One thing that is a big question mark for many of these countries now, they've shut down. You cannot get to any of these countries for the most part anymore. And when they start opening tourism back up, what will be their attitude towards foreigners? Will they have preferences to foreigners from certain areas? Will they change the laws and the requirements and the costs involved in coming back into the country? The Philippines, which to their credit had a very easy visa system, a visa on arrival. You just fly in from most countries, they give you a 30-day visa stamp. They've canceled all those. Presently, you can't fly in unless you have some special authorization. You cannot fly into the Philippines. So what will it be like? Hopefully, and I suspect it will be very similar, if not the same, as what it was before. I think there's a big competition for the tourist dollar, for the expat dollar. But if they have a bad taste, if they've gotten a bad taste in their mouth, government employees, the authorities are people just like us. They have emotional, they can make emotional decisions. If they've had bad experiences, bad taste in their mouth with foreigners from certain countries, Westerners or certain Asians, whatever, they could make it more difficult, more expensive. So there again, it's important for you all to be nice tourists, be nice expats, as much as you can. Some of you can't help yourself. I know. Some countries are going to win on the money side. If they attract the tourist and they attract the expats, there's millions, billions of dollars that are spent in their economies in many different ways. And if they support that and promote it, there will be losers. There will be nations that hold back. I think Thailand experienced some of that. They started making it more. They started enforcing some older laws about how much money you had to have to come into the country, about having a health insurance if you're in the country, various types of things. Not necessarily bad rules, but they started enforcing them, making it more difficult for many retired people from many parts of the world to live there longer. More difficult, more expensive to live there, and making you leave the country more often. Do what they call a border run, cross into another border, come back, register, let everybody know where you're living. I read and answer, I try to read and answer every comment, and I get a good feel for what's out there. I know some of the people who had planned on coming to the Philippines have changed their mind. Nothing wrong with that. We all have different dreams, different requirements, different budgets, and it's okay. We all need to make our decisions and then live by those. If you don't like one country, you can move on to the next one. That was my opinion when I came here. I was going to try it out as long as I wanted. If I didn't like it, I would move on to another country, or if I had to, go back to the USA. Those options remain open. It may become more difficult to travel. Some of these countries are talking about, well, you're going to need a health certificate showing that you're free of any viruses, and it has to be within a certain number of hours, maybe 72 hours of your flight, of your arrival in that country. When you're in another country, they may have restrictions about social distancing. If you're going to go to a resort and a beach and these sorts of things, and they're going to say, well, you're on the beach, you have to wear a face mask. For that matter, how many of you are willing to wear a face mask for 14 hours or whatever on an airline ride? I would have a difficult time doing that. It would be extremely uncomfortable. I'm not sure if it would be that healthy to sit with that mask on for 14 hours. The information I saw from one airline said, well, if you have some medical condition where you can't, or that you can't wear it, and I would come under that category. I mean, I probably could, but there would be a point where it would just become extremely uncomfortable. It would have to come off for a period of time at least. I think that the more rules that everybody puts in place, the less attractive travel, the less attractive resorts will be, the less travel that will take place. I think the U.S. government, probably the same with every government, they're trying to get their, even in the Philippines, they're telling the locals, well, travel, go to the resorts and spend your money locally, help the economy, bring the economy back. Well, they've lost their jobs. They may have gotten a little bit of government help, but most of them haven't. What are they going to go with the resort? How are they going to increase the economy, help the economy if they don't have any money? They got a bag of rice. It's a little difficult not to get a little emotional about this, regardless of what you think about what is happening and the authorities and how they've attacked this thing. Regardless of your issue, it's just it's difficult not to get a little emotional and upset and stressed. And stress. It's important to try not to be stressed, because stress makes you more susceptible to diseases, many different types of diseases. So it's important to take some deep breaths. And gosh, I hope I'm not stirring people up and getting them stressed out just by talking about this. But how have you guys and girls, how are you changing your plans and your ideas about the rest of this year, 2020, going into 2021? Are you canceling plans? Are you canceling or changing destinations? And how did you react? How did you handle the solar storm of 1859? How did that affect you guys and girls out there? The solar storm knocked out telegraph lines. Telegraph lines were burning, shut down all the systems. 2012, something similar, powerful solar storm, just barely missed Earth by about 9 days. Would have disrupted, would have shut down electrical systems, burned grids out. There have been a number of smaller storms over the years, and you never read about it. What you will hear in the news is that it shut down the electrical system, the air traffic control system at such and such airport and such airport. And will probably happen in the near future. There's the next solar cycle is coming upon us, so we'll see what happens. I don't know about you, but I am tired of staying at home. I've got a friend over on Panay Island, where Iloilo is. He's up in the north end, and they are under GCQ, General Community Quarantine now. So they have started opening a few of the stores in the malls, but still a lot closed. There's still some restrictions on age. I think it's like 60 years old. You're not supposed to be out and about, which creates an issue. Um, you know, if you need things, you know, and they say, well, this isn't. Anyway, that's a discussion for another day. They're slowly opening up certain types of factories in the general quarantine areas. May 15th, 16th is supposed to be the end of the enhanced quarantine here in Manila, many parts of Manila, as well as Cebu. What are real estate prices doing in your part of the world? I can tell you that I've read a number of articles and watched interviews with real estate type people here, and Colliers, which is they're real big in the world, management, real estate management type company. And they're saying that in the Manila area, the higher end Manila areas, I think Makati and a few other areas there, that rental prices for commercial properties dropped about 15%, if I recall the numbers properly, and residential about 5% already in the last month or two. So we'll see what happens there. What's happening in your part of the world? Are you seeing the same types of things? This is the bridge going over to Mactan Island, where Mactan International Airport is. I think second busiest airport in the Philippines after Manila, Ninoy Aquino. Anyway, I think that there are a lot of people in the world trying to take advantage of this situation. There are people, politicians, and powerful people who want to change society to the way they think it should be, to use this opportunity, this crisis. And you know, there will be changes. Some may be good changes, some may be bad changes. Anyway, what are your thoughts about that? The more uncertainty there is in the world, the longer it's going to take. Here's some checkpoints. The longer it is going to take for people to get comfortable, to start traveling, to start spending money. And anyway, you know, a lot could stay the same, a lot could change. And we're just going to have to pretty much sit and wait it out. Try to make your voices known where you can. Try to influence it in the best direction, right direction where you can. And anyway, this is the end of the line. Thank you for watching. Please like the video and share the video. Safe travels to you all. Stay healthy. And I'll see you next time.